Running it back to the back to the back to the bank today. Running it back to the back to the back to the bank today. Running it back to the back to the back to the bank today. Running it back to the back to the back to the back to the back. Running it back to the bank today. Baby, I feeling relaxed today. Gotta go try to relax today. Whoa, whoa. Gotta fill out all my apps today. Cry from my
Welcome to the DMV's Vibe Podcast. I am Miss Pink.
And I feel the swagger.
And as we are in the second week of June, and last week we touched on men's mental health, we touched on PTSD, as well as gun violence awareness. Um, I did post pictures and memes up because throughout the month, please wear orange to celebrate gun violence survivors and in support of gun violence awareness. Today's show has a special title, No Seat at the Table, um, Build Your Own. And we are going to be discussing how important it is to really have ownership and across the board, whether it's owning your own business, owning land, on just all over the board in every dynamic because of the importance, especially in our community.
Yes.
Because if they won't give us a seed, we can build our own. And that's really what they don't teach us in school, about how much or how strong the community could really be. Because back in the day, there were so many communities that bridged together and
That we're thriving.
thriving well. And unfortunately, it's always haters out here. And I think we kind of got
Right.
away from it, and it became something that was just like people don't want to fight for it anymore. A lot of people are lazy. And I feel like a lot of people try to use that with our generation, that we're lazy, but they don't take into consideration, like,
We're tired.
yeah, like we were what I call bridging the gap, because we came in the middle of everything transitioning with technology. Even though we were pretty far past certain civil rights movements and the blending of and getting over segregation, it's still a lot of things that our generation are really breaking the mold of what is known by like our parents or our grandparents.
I think millennials, especially the older millennials, like those of us that are in our, because I think we started with like 80, 82.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm like,
something like that. So I feel like especially the older millennials, like we were the generation that was told to go to college, get the degree, and you'll get the job and you'll make the money. And once we started to see an abundance of degrees being received, i.e., Black women, then we started realizing that
kept moving.
started the bar got further, but the standards also were lower. So it's like, okay, you get the bachelor degree, and they're like, okay, you got the bachelor's, but now you need a master's. So now you get the master's degree, and now even with the master's degree, now they don't want to pay you because it's an abundance of people with master degrees. So you extended the bar, but you lowered the expectations of what we're supposed to get after we got what you told us we needed to get.
And that be real.
And we see that, especially again, like if you just look at the statistics, like Black women in particular, number one in entrepreneurship. We're the most educated group of women, actually the most educated group of people
Mm-hmm.
in this country, but yet we have to work 10 times as harder than everybody else. And
I feel like you always having to prove.
always having to prove that we are qualified or capable for the job or whatever it is, or to be seated at the table. And I feel like we see this every day with this administration. Shout out to Jasmine Crockett. Um,
Mhm.
she at the table and she like, listen here. This is even Angela also Brooks. Like, this is what's going on. This is what you need to hear. And it's like it's hard for us to create our lane because we do create our lanes and we literally stay in our lanes, but somehow, some way, other people seem to just veer off
Yeah.
in our lane. We start so many things and then other people just take over.
Not only do they take over, I think it's more so of they try to quiet you while also copying you. That's a lot of what you see a lot of times is they really try to strip, especially when they it's rooted in racism. That's just get to the point. It's rooted in racism, unfortunately. And while people try to act like we're past that time, it doesn't exist. It does.
It
There's still
definitely does.
people that are in Congress that should not be there and have passed on that hatred to their children and their grandchildren. And they're the people who are sitting there making choices that affect the whole country, which is absolutely ridiculous. Um, so we can start by just saying that the tables were never built for us. Just point blank, period. The tables we're trying to get into were never built with us in mind, whether it was corporate America, mainstream entertainment, or big business. These spaces were designed to exclude, not embrace. We look at how many times, as Phyllis said, we were deemed overqualified and overlooked, or we were never invited into the room. That isolation isn't success, it's actually survival.
Literally, when we think about um like DEI, when affirmative action, like those are some things that that I'm pretty sure some people thought about, except for Clarence Thomas. But like, you had to create that so we can be allowed in your space, right? Because you really didn't want us there anyway. But you had to create affirmative action or DEI initiatives to make sure that we don't really want you here, but by law we have to allow you to be here. And it's crazy that you can have all the qualifications to be there and still not be allowed to be there just
Mhm.
because of who you are. I was overqualified for Walmart. Walmart.
I'm just trying to make some extra
I was
cash.
just trying to make some money. This is when I first graduated from college. Like I just needed a job. And literally, they were like, "Oh, you're overqualified." Cause I have a degree. I'm overqualified just to ring up some groceries. Like what? Make that make sense. Make that make sense. It's just
And
it's hard.
and sometimes we get invited in spaces, and then once you get there and you look around and you're the only one in the room, and it can make you feel slightly uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable because or there's been situations where you may not be the only one in the room, but then you realize the other one that looks like you don't really like
Mm-hmm.
you or the everybody else that looks like them because they're really trying to fit in
They be Oreos.
and they
Mm-hmm.
trying to be something that they're that in a certain space they're truly not. And they try to fit in with those space, but they ostracize themselves from places of comfort because you turning your back on your people because you want the money or you want the fame or whatever the case may be. um so that's what's tough. And then even as an educator, let me just say this, and I'm gonna say this with my whole chest: every black teacher is not for all the black kids.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that again. Every black teacher is not rocking with these black kids. Okay. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Hey, we gonna clip that, y'all. But that's absolutely one of the major reasons why the shift to ownership is deeper than just about business. It's actually about liberation and freedom and being proud. Um, we talked about a couple weeks ago about how the customer service is in a lot of black owned businesses, and I promise you, if y'all raise y'all customer service levels up, the the audience will come. I think that's where some people do go wrong at when they're entrepreneurs. Um, is if your customer service is not amazing, a lot of people will not repeat. And we do have a tendency in our community that we're gonna tell people about that extremely bad
Word
service.
of mouth will
Word of mouth.
hurt your business faster than anything, and especially in this day and age of social media, like people are quick to pull out their phones. People are quick to get on TikTok and talk about their experience, and then when you have other people that comment and chime in, we've seen businesses literally basically have to close
Mm-hmm.
because of just word of mouth.
Close, change ownership, sell their business because of, and have to rebrand
Mm-hmm.
based off of their customer service, how they were treating people, their values and morals. Like all of that is important when going into Black ownership. And we do want to be supportive, especially with our brand here at the DMV Vibe podcast. We want to promote and support Black owned businesses. But I don't want to be promoting people who are
Rude.
rude, disrespectful. You don't have quality work, and your customer service is trash. Cause I can't put my stamp behind something that that I haven't one either tried myself or seen good reviews behind. But I do want us to continue creating spaces where we don't have to shrink or code switch. Um, and so there are a couple of different things that um a couple of different industries where we are growing in, like the rise of Black owned banks, for example, like Greenwood. I think Greenwood is actually um one of the banks that get advertised on social media.
It's also one in Baltimore that's based out of Baltimore. I cannot think of the name. Is it industrial? Is it industrial bank?
um
I can't think of the name of it, but it's another black owned bank that is definitely here in Maryland. But I can't remember the name of it. Don't give me the line.
don't worry, we're going to I'm gonna do the research and I'm gonna make sure that I take it. As we know, during the pandemic there were a lot of creators who started their own podcasts. Now, just to put a pin there,
Oh yeah, please.
everybody does not deserve a mic because a lot of y'all abuse the platforms that you have. And a lot of y'all like to say things just so you can go viral, create a conversation.
Clickbait.
Yes, a lot of clickbait stuff going on. And we know y'all like it trends when y'all do the clickbait stuff, but misinforming people and starting unnecessary disputes and wars between people, it is so unnecessary. Like, I swear it's been 4 years since we really dug deep into talking about relationships and men, women.
Mm-hmm.
It's over. Let that conversation die, please.
Please, please.
Let it die, because we see that it doesn't do anything but cause. The one thing that comes positive out of it is we get to see how some of these men think.
Yes, and when I see some of these things and I see some of the males I follow and their comments, I just another piece to the puzzle. But I really think, especially as Black people, like there are other things that we could talk about, that we could focus on. Just like that is the one thing that I really do love about our platform and appreciate about our shows, because we actually want to give y'all real information and talk about real things, and be transparent and vulnerable with our own experiences, versus this is just my opinion, like versus just sometimes these people don't really, it's like they talking at you, and if you don't disagree with them, like it's the end of the world. And we don't feel that way. Like everybody got their own opinions, and that's cool. We'll give you from our perspective, and we can respect you for that. Like I could respect somebody for having an opinion, but some of y'all deliveries and some of the way y'all be
Yeah.
acting is it's unnecessary. Like nobody wants to have a conversation because you're not
Open.
open, you're not friendly to where you can have that conversation. Like I've definitely seen some some other podcasts, especially with going back and forth with the relationship stuff, and it's just like Oh,
You
wow.
would have thought somebody died and made them die.
Right. Like, okay.
Like they trying to cast everybody
Find
down.
people that like you. That's all I'm gonna
Um,
say.
and I will say that we have been blessed to be on two black networks or media outlets. Um, as y'all knew the first one, so I'm not even gonna go there. But we are a part of Colossal Capital brand now, and it has been amazing to be on this platform, to be with other black
Definitely,
creatives,
definitely.
and that's why we still get to give y'all amazing creative content and not feel restricted. We've also seen that there are a lot of chefs opening restaurants or food trucks and really starting their businesses. Stylists who turn side hustles into salons. For stylists who turn side hustles into salons, shout out to y'all, because the ones who have salons are not the ones that are telling you to come with your hair already washed.
Okay. Thank you. Because Shanae ain't never asked me to come with my hair already washed. Okay.
But understanding that starting your own business is a personal accomplishment for you, but it's also considered a community investment. When you are able to be in the middle of a community and serve that community and really thrive, it helps that community thrive as well. When we build our own, then we can hire our own, uplift our own, and circulate that black dollar in powerful ways. Black ownership is critically important in 2025, perhaps more than ever, because it directly impacts economic empowerment, cultural representation, and generational wealth within the black community. One thing I love to see is um, I follow a lot of people who, like, during the pandemic, they were just starting their business off or
Mhm.
just really tapping into certain things. And to see how far they've come over the last few years, it's really amazing to see just how much the community shows up for them.
And listen, we know that everybody is not a CEO. Like, we're not pushing that on you as a narrative, because I have had conversations with other black people. I mean, like, I don't hang around blacks, but I've had conversation with other people, and it's like, oh no, you just need to start an LLC. You need to. No, that's like, if that's not what you want to do, we're not telling you to do that. We're not telling you to go out here and just start this LLC, because honestly, since COVID, and because um people started creating LLCs and PPP loans, um it's actually, they've changed like some of the tax laws and all that other stuff when it comes to running a business or having an LLC. So just, if this is something that you really would want to pursue, I would definitely say yes, but don't just do it just for the sake of you trying to get money or something like that. Like, it is not easy running a business. It costs.
It do.
It definitely
It's
takes money to make money. Um,
because you got to invest in yourself.
you really do. You definitely do, especially in your business, your brand. You definitely really have to invest in yourself. So if being a CEO is not something you want to do, just don't go into it. Like, it's other ways that you could support our community. Like, everybody don't have to have a business. Doesn't have to be an entrepreneur.
Hey, we told y'all last week, trades.
Listen, we need plumbers.
Trades.
We need HVAC technicians, okay? We need mechanics, okay? We don't need another rapper. Uh
We can take some more construction workers, because the slow as they moving to fix this highway and these ramps.
Listen, they've been working on the purple line for the last 10 years. So yes,
A black
trade.
owned construction business. Go work for them.
Yeah, yes, I'm here for that.
So we're going to talk about economic independence, whether it's in business, property, media, or intellectual property. It helps reduce economic dependency and build self-sustaining communities. In 2025, the racial wealth gap still exists, and ownership is one of the most powerful ways to close it. Business ownership gives Black entrepreneurs the freedom to shape their own economic futures, where home ownership builds equity that can be passed on, providing a foundation for long term wealth. And investing in real estate stocks and startup diversifies income and fosters resilience. I had a conversation with my family, and just like some of the things that I wish they had taught us in school. Like I realized now there's no more home ec classes in high school.
It's not.
Some of the things that I wish that I had learned in high school is how to file taxes properly and fully understand
Cause
it.
baby, I be stressed.
Money management when it comes to going to whether it's a grocery store or just having things at home, like your monthly schedule. Like we didn't
Co-
do that at home.
College taught me how to manage my money because I had to live off of $500 a month. So I will say shout out to that experience. But yeah, I do wish, like, I know we did have that in high school. I took interior design, which is actually like something else I like to do on the side. Like I like designing rooms and stuff.
Something new.
But the more you know, look, y'all learning things about me. I'm actually in the process of redoing my room. I'm excited. Um, but I do wish that they would have definitely taxes for sure, because when I realized at one point in time I was paying somebody else to use TurboTax, I said this is stupid. Why am I paying you to input information that I could literally just input myself? Um, but it's also the wording, like I honestly feel like the tax system is definitely outdated. Like this is what I don't understand about this country.
I plead the fifth.
Like
So to say a little bit, I'ma just say that um
it gotta
it's
be
a
either one.
very strong possibility that if this government continues to go on this path, it may be no more internal revenue service. That's all I can say. Um, as far as the tax laws keep changing, I'm gonna tell you right now, unless you are up here in the tax bracket, it's nothing we can do. We just out here trying to stay afloat. Um, they're gonna keep making it harder, especially if you're single with no children.
Because America hates single people. Oh, and married people with no children. If
Yeah.
you don't have any kids or dependents, America really hates you.
At this point, I take my parent as a dependent for 500, Alex,
Because baby,
because yeah. But taxes was one of the big things I feel like we could have learned, or stocks, like the
definitely stocks.
investments, like things that we could have, like they said, diversify your income.
But I also think like when we think about education and we think about like the area we grew up in, like
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have, some of us didn't have parents who had investments, who had these things, versus you have some people's parents who they did have stocks and they really watched their 401k and all those other things. So I feel like, especially amongst us in our community, we aren't taught those things. And generations before us weren't familiar with those things. Like, even though now the push is, okay, well, I got to get ready for retirement. But especially for millennials,
How the hell we gonna save
they
something?
keep
Everything
put
keep
first
going
of all,
high.
they keep pushing up the damn retirement age. I'm not teaching until I'm 72. That's not happening. I can retire in 2058. I'll be like 67 or something
Listen,
like that.
every time I look and see how many years I have into the gun, I be like, this is bullshit. This is what I'm not working another 26 years. I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen between now and then, but the government can't get 26 more years of
And
me.
then the thing about, like, we're paying all this money into Social Security, and it's to the point where we won't even see it. And that's how I feel about healthcare too. Like, I'm, why am I paying? I only go to the doctor when I need to, which is my annuals and when I'm sick. Okay, we not the ones using it. Why are my premiums? I don't understand. But also, that is something else that I wish that we would have learned, like just the basics of
Life.
what we need to survive. Yes, we know we got to pay bills, but you know, itemize, list, what becomes important. How about you don't always have to pay the whole bill up front every time? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can split it. That's how I used to do my car note back in the day.
That's
Every
always
time
how
I
to
got
deal with credit cards. Cause boy, when you graduate from school, them motherfuckers be ready.
And the thing about it is creditors prey on college kids because they know. They know, like, oh, you fresh out of college. And that's another thing. America does not set the young people up for success. They definitely did not set up our generation
A lot of predatory
because
loans.
again, with the predatory student loans, the private loans, all those different things, like that's why all of us sitting in college debt because nobody really explained it to us. Just sign on this dotted line.
Mhm.
And now we sitting here. You don't want to forgive our student loans, but you forgiving everybody PPP loans. You forgiving millions of money when these people clearly stole the money from you. Clearly, Marjorie Taylor Greene clearly stole the money from you, and you forgave them. But for those that, when we actually took the money for the betterment of ourselves, we
Mhm.
can't even get that relief. So I wish that they would have really taught us about these different things. Because honestly, now I didn't really get into credit card trouble like that in my 20s. Well, I'm not in it now, but I actually learned that from my mama. But I feel like if they were taught this, it would have saved a lot of, because I had friends like their credit was jacked up in their entire 20s. Now it's
Listen.
getting together now in their 30s, but it would have saved a lot of heartache and headache. And if we were taught these things, and even now, like filing bankruptcy, back then, the student loans, you used to be able to file bankruptcy for
Mhm.
that. But then when
They changed,
we
they changed that shit quick.
start get hip to it. See, this is what we talk about. You set the bar, but then when we start making advancements toward the bar, you push the bar away further and further and further. And that's literally what they have done. I, in my heart of hearts, believe the only reason student loans have not been forgiven in this country is because Black women are the number one group that's in student loan debt because they know, baby, you forget these loans, baby, my credit score is 850. Ain't nobody telling me nothing.
Listen.
And that's what it is, because the reality of it is forgiving those student loans, Black women, we already killing y'all and everything. That's really going to take us to a whole nother level, a whole nother level. Black women right now, we suppressing Black men in home ownership. As everything. It's really gonna take us to a whole nother level. But they don't want that. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And that leads us into why representation and narrative control is important. So, while Black individuals own media platforms, production studios, podcasts, fashion brands, tech startups, they control the narrative and expand how Black stories are told beyond the stereotypes and trauma. I don't know if any of y'all know who Roland Martin is. I did have a chance to watch the Black State of Union, and it was very informative. I do watch a lot of his shows and follow him on YouTube. His platform is, of course, Black owned, even though he does, employ other people. But it's he raises money to continue his platform because he does not want to be shaped by major networks that don't allow us to that don't fully represent us. It isn't just about visibility, it's about ownership of platforms that influence culture and policy. Ownership ensures that Black voices aren't silenced or filtered through the non Black lenses, which we see a lot of when they go and tell stories in Southeast. And there's some lady who is foreign to being in the hood. Ma'am, you have no reason being here
I
until
love
you
when they
support
be
her.
like, oh no, I live in Navy, y'all. Girl, you live in Southeast. I live by Nat Stadium. Girl, you live in South East. Okay? Just say that. Ain't nobody throwing no shade at you. Like, that's where you live at.
And they gotta understand they live in the new Southeast. We know,
Right.
we know, we know.
We know.
Closing the racial wealth gap, despite the progress that the average white family still holds significantly more wealth than average Black family. Ownership is a direct route into correcting that imbalance. Um, and despite what y'all be hearing, there are a lot of Black thriving families. Don't let social media and these news networks make it seem like it's just a lot of single mothers out here and they're struggling. There are a lot of strong and thriving Black
Prince
families.
George's County, gorgeous Prince George's, was not the richest Black county in the country for nothing. Everybody ain't out here just, oh, it's all single. Nah, these are real family households, two-parent households that are thriving, that are leaving not only wealth for themselves, but generational wealth. Like, they really are thriving. Now they moving to Charles County, which is, I guess, PG and Charles keep flip-flopping because they moving back and forth. But please don't let y'all think, like Pink said, that everybody out here is just Section 8, it's single mothers. Like, and it's crazy. My pastor just touched on this today. The CDC did a study and they said that Black men are actually more active in their children's lives than some other races of, I think, than all the other races of men in this country. So when they keep painting the narrative that Black men don't take care of their kids and Black men are active in their kids, they are. I would definitely, this year, my caseload, a lot of the young ladies that I work with, they live with their dads. There are single dads taking care of their daughters. So don't let social media fool y'all. Let y'all think that all of these Black men out here are deadbeat dads, because that's not the case. Like, these Black men really are in their children's lives, actively in their children's lives.
Yes, and shout out to the Black dads. It's Father's Day is coming up. Shout out to all the dads.
Yes.
Even though when I worked with kids, the Black dads, they was always looking for a mama for their kid though. But in other news, um supporting and creating Black owned financial institutions empowers fair lending practices and economic advocacy. So as we support Black owned financial institutions, it helps create and level the playing field where a lot of these banks that we be going to and they're not supposed to like look at our races. First of all, I don't understand why that we still have to check that off. It don't matter what race I'm in.
This is the only country, y'all, for real, like this administration, to me, in a certain way, is exposing the skeletons that's in America's closet. Because y'all really have to understand that this country was founded on racism. This country was founded for rich white men. It did not include nobody else but them. So that's why you see what you see. And we are literally the only country that really is like checking off a race. Like, and it's all about just the color of your skin for the most part.
'Cause at this point, then you took the eye away. You remove that shit off of there.
And they've
Everything that's
also,
irrelevant.
with some of these banking institutions, they've actually done studies and they've actually talked about how Bank of America, this is public record, so I ain't throwing no shade, you can look this up, how they were giving Black families higher interest rates on home loans versus white people. You see this all the time. We could have a higher credit score than some white woman, but they will give her something better versus us only because of the color of her skin. So that's why it's definitely important that we try to start opening more Black bank institutions. And it's hard to open a business like that, especially in this country, because they don't want to give it to us.
Yes, and that leads us into building generational wealth. Ownership gives future generations a head start. Whether it's a family business, real estate portfolio, or brand, the assets can be transferred, scaled, or leveraged. And as someone in my field of work, I see that a lot. Like, that's one thing that I never really understood what estates were and how it you can have an estate and still be living. I always thought that it was always for someone who was deceased. And so really learning about it and understanding how some people really go out here and put everything in the estate's name so that their personal information is clear. So if anything happens, it just falls on the estate, which they can write off. Um, in 2025, it's especially important. It gives the increasing cost of living, education, and ownership, and home ownership. Ownership means legacy. It turns hard work today into security and opportunity for tomorrow.
They actually just did a study and they talked about home ownership in the median. And I think I can't believe remember if it's 70s or 80s versus now. And now the average age for when someone buys a home is 52. So all of us, we're still sitting at home. For all of us who are renting apartments, renting, don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Okay. We got time. 52. I got about what? 13 more years? 12, something like that. No, longer than that.
Yeah, it's like 14,
About
15,
14,
15.
15 years.
Damn,
Yeah.
that seems like it's just a long way.
A long time.
Yeah.
I said I was gonna own me a home by 40, so I got that. That's the goal.
And I said this before is one of my words of wisdom. Um, don't let society or nobody else's what they got going on make you feel like you supposed to be somewhere, you supposed to be doing it. Don't put yourself or put extra pressure on yourself, put yourself in situations where you're gonna be drowning just because you're trying to catch up or match what somebody else got. Take your time, plan it out, and trust me, it's not you. It really is the economy.
It no, for real. And I used to feel like because I wasn't in a certain spot by a certain age or didn't have certain things by a certain age that I was lacking or I was always behind. But then I realized that always got what I wanted because I was patient and I took the time to do what was necessary. Now you still gotta do the work to do what was necessary to achieve certain things. But like Pink said, like this economy is trash, y'all. So it's like we all get it. Ain't nobody mad at you because you still at your at your mama house as long as you doing something. Like I'm not one of those that be like, oh no, he still stay with his mama. If he work, do what he's supposed to do, and you help your mama all that. Ain't no judgment over here.
Yeah, now if she's still cleaning your drawers, that's what the
Yeah,
judgment
you know what
comes.
I'm saying? If you just laying in her basement and not doing nothing, then that's a problem.
Right. There's power in policy and influence, and like we talked a lot about Jasmine Crockett, as her voice is the voice that we hear a lot, and I feel like she always stands in the gap, and she really understands. Like she's the voice that a lot of us we be wanting to come out and go in the streets and be able to talk to people like that, but we know that we gonna get some repercussions behind it. Um, and she is highly decorated, and I feel like she's another person creating space at a table in every room that she walks in. And remember, owners hold power, as we've seen with this administration, is Elon, who's out here with all these businesses. He held the power when it came to this election. He's the reason why that person is where they are in that office now, even though they out here falling out and telling each other secrets.
Well, Elon ain't told us something we already didn't
That
know.
part.
I read that court docket. Moving right along.
But we do want to be able to hold power in politics and commerce and in boardrooms. Black ownership helps increase political leverage and ensures issues impacting Black communities are prioritized. This is why it's important to vote.
In your local elections as well, because it starts in your city, then it moves up. Okay, y'all know how checks and balances go, the hierarchy of politics or government. So when you vote for the people, so you vote for your council members and all that other stuff, those are the ones that's going to bring the issues that is within your small town or your community. They bring that to the bigger people, and it's like it's a totem pole. It just goes up and up and up, and that's how you're able to bring, because then people start talking and then you realize like this community is experiencing the same thing that a community maybe two cities over is experiencing. So how can we come together to bridge this gap to help this group of people? So once you start there, then that's where it moves up into who is the president or who, whatever the case may be. So when it's time for our next midterm elections, y'all got to vote. Y'all really got these Congress, some of these congressmen and women got to go. They gotta go.
And understand that we not gonna be on here discussing politics, but we will always remind y'all
And
how
encourage
important,
y'all.
yes,
Yes.
to encourage you to go and vote. If you're not registered to vote yet, please go do it. Please explain to your children how important it is to vote, because I'll be honest, even though they take some classes in school, read make sure, because they only gonna tell a version of it.
Yes, please
A
reiterate
version of it for them
unless
to
they come to my
understand.
classroom.
For them to understand how important and how it directly affects them. A lot of people that voting for a president don't affect us. It does, and it trickles down. So make sure that y'all keep that in mind.
And believe it or not, these kids really are paying attention. I have some very interesting conversations with students when it comes to what they're seeing on the news, policies, and stuff like that. Some of my students actually read Project 2025. That's more than some of these grown people can say.
Mhm.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And so we just gonna do a brief segment on just explaining why what we feel may be stopping us as a community or holding us back from ownership. I know a lot of us, it's that fear of the unknown, the
Mhm.
fear of the unknown, or lack of money, not knowing where to start, and then sometimes it can be access. That's what you can tell in certain environments, in certain communities, is the access, where they lack access to certain resources. But that's where you can also be in collaboration. Now, we do have allies. We're not saying when we're building our Black community that we just trying to shut out all the other races, because we do have allies that stand in the gap, and we can also learn from them, because there are a lot of other communities that stand together
And they stick
and be
with
thriving.
their people, and excuse me, and you see that everybody is thriving together. And I think that's one of the reasons why we don't necessarily get as far as ahead, because we really don't genuinely support each other like we should. And it's not even just about customer service. It's just that your friend will pitch you an idea and you will discourage them from trying to achieve their goals, or you, well, what are you doing that for, or nobody's going to support that, or it's 10 other people already doing that same thing that you're already doing. So I think that's another reason why we don't see some of the success, because we allow other people to keep us from jumping out there, from trying to achieve that goal. And then also you got to be careful, because some people, you'll talk to people about your vision and they'll
Run
take
off.
it, and they will run off with your vision. And then now, and we've seen this so many times in our community, with music, with TV shows, with clothes, hairstyles, everything. We will start something and then allow other people, and then someone will come in and take it, and now it's trending. And then it discourages you from wanting to do anything else. So I think that's part of it. So that goes back to the fear,
Hmm.
um, and just being discouraged from trying.
I think the biggest thing is having a vision. If you have a vision and really understanding who's in your circle,
Mhm.
um, because sometimes we don't have all the right people we need in our circle, so they can't always see our vision. But it's not for them to see. Sometimes it's just for your circle to support. And so understanding having a support system, we understand how crucial it is. And sometimes the people that you think should be supporting you are the people who are just standing there watching and waiting for you to reach a certain point so they can support you and act like they was there the whole time. That does happen a lot, especially in our community. And I will say some of our biggest supporters are people that we've never met in real life.
Not on one.
And we appreciate y'all and we celebrate y'all. We do not worry about people who don't show up for us. We always like to support everyone who does. Don't sleep on the power of bartering, mentorship, and showing up for each other. So, as you've seen before, we've had people from other podcasts. The biggest thing I would say about mentorship or bartering is really do your research. Do your research before you reach out to try and do whether it's a collaboration, a mentorship, or just showing support. Do your research so you know who you're supporting, their values and their morals, because it might not align with yours. This movement is about more than flexing on Instagram. It's about creating the generational wealth and legacy over luxury. Um, Even though Phyllis be saying she don't want no kids, she gonna be the auntie. We do want the generations behind us to
I mean, my goddaughter gonna be straight. She gonna be
to
straight.
be inheriting businesses and not just bills. And I think for real, it's taking your pride outside of your business can also help it furthermore. And as people who have businesses, don't it doesn't always mean you have to push it on your kids either. Just make sure that you have a plan.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about basically your legacy, like you want something that is going to be long standing when you leave here. I don't want to be known for, oh, she always had different color hair or long nails. Like I want to be known for how I treated people, how I poured into people, uh for how I was as a person. You know what I'm saying? Like you got people right now, they only remember them just because it's something negative that they did, or oh yeah, they always had the same joy, they always had the flies clothes or the flies, whatever. But you want your legacy to be long standing. So you are building that. You're planting a foundation for it to be long to come. You still want people to still say your name, because think about it. We still talk about people who have been gone years and years ago, but their name still reigns supreme. Their name still has power, and their legacy is still something that people are studying and really thinking about. And sometimes it doesn't have to be a lot. It could be very something simple. Like I think about, and I'm just thinking about this because I got Tupac on my shirt. It's Tupac all over the studio. We think about Tupac. Tupac's rap career was not that long, but Tupac has his legacy will never die because he spoke the truth. And a lot of the stuff that he talked about, a lot of the clips and the interviews we see, all of that stuff is actually still relevant today. So he has a legacy that will surpass probably those of us that grew up with his music. It's going to surpass that because he really just made that stamp while he was here for the short period of time that he was here. So you want your legacy, and yeah, we know that his famous line was, he fuck your bitch and the click you claim. We know all that, you know what I'm saying? But he had other stuff. Dear Mama, Brenda's Got a Baby, like he spoke on real stuff, and that's always going to be relevant. So you want your legacy to be something that is going to always remain relevant, or somebody can really speak your name and just pass on from generations to generations.
And when we talk about artists, so I didn't always listen to Killer Mike music, but to hear how he speaks, him and David Banner, when they speak on platforms, um, they're they're well versed in the topics that they're talking about. They challenge conversations and they really stand up for their community. So it's just really doing your research. Sometimes it is about separating the entertainer from the person.
Yes.
in positive lights. So I do want to, as we close out this episode, to just say, um, it's okay if you ready to make a change in your community. If you ready to start something, to start your legacy, to even think about partnering with someone. Like, it's never too late. Start it now, but just start. If you need help starting, you want to research a topic, and trust me, I dragged my feet a long time before starting the podcast. Um I had been to a couple of different radio stations. I thought about going back to school to do media production, but the biggest thing for me is being able to not only just talk about my experiences, is being able to relate to people and give information. And so it's always going to be a lane for your vision. It doesn't matter how oversaturated it looks. Just take the time, plan it out, and stop delaying it. Don't stop procrastinating. Go ahead and go for your vision. I am going to let Phyllis go first with her words of wisdom.
All right. So just thinking about what we've been talking about today, you have to remember that your vision or what was given to you is for you. And everybody's not going to understand your vision. Everybody's not going to understand your path. Everybody isn't going to understand your reason why, and it's not meant for them to understand because it's for you. It's your vision. And so as we go through life and we have these ideas and these thoughts and these things that we want to do, we have to learn to drown out the noise. We have to learn to, you can't tell everybody everything. There are things that even amongst my circle, I don't always tell everybody everything because there are certain things that I want to fall into place. Not that I don't think that they're going to discourage me from my vision. Not that I think that they're not going to support me. But I want to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do for myself before I reveal what it is that I'm working on or what I'm doing. Okay. So I want to encourage someone to, that vision that you have, that dream that you have, that thought that you have, that goal that you want to achieve, do it. Don't worry about the naysayers. And sometimes you just have to be quiet. You gotta be quiet. You gotta keep it to yourself. And like Nike, just do it. But I'm also gonna say this. Also, in the midst of that vision, watch who's in your circle.
Mhm.
You have to watch who you are around. And if you feel like that is something not right in your circle, then you gotta start making cuts. Okay. But your vision is your vision. Okay. So I'm gonna tell y'all this week, your vision is your vision. Okay. But you have to work to make the vision come to life. Okay. So your vision, I'm gonna say this again. Your vision is your vision. It's not meant for anybody else to understand or anybody else to see it, because if it was for everybody else, then you would not have gotten a vision. The vision would have been given to everybody else, but the vision was given to you because you are the one that is going to make that vision become a reality. Okay. So your vision is your vision. Make it a reality. And always remember to live fearless.
Now, how I'm supposed to follow that, y'all?
You got it.
I do want to say, when it was just a quote. When we build our own, we don't just change our lives; we shift the culture. I felt like that was really powerful. But my words of wisdom would have to be careful who you accept an invite from. Just because you was invited, doesn't mean that you're necessarily supposed to be there.
Mhm.
Um, I think a lot of times we get mad when we don't get invited, but we don't always look at, not to get spiritual, but God sometimes saves us from a lot of things when we're not invited, whether we realize it or not.
Mhm.
But also be careful of who you accept invite from, because some people will invite you just because they've been talking about you and they want to show everybody who they've been talking about. So be
Mhm.
careful who you accept them invites from. It's not necessary to always show up. Make sure you show up for yourself. It is Men's Mental Health Month still. We want y'all to please take it serious, not this month, but all year long.
Yes.
We want to wish all the pappies, the step pappies, grandpappies. We want to wish
Yeah.
all of y'all a happy
Happy Father's Day.
We also want to say if you are available next Saturday, 11 to 6, pull up to 6811 Coolidge Road Drive. I'm gonna post the address, but we're having Colossal Capital Brand is having a Juneteenth pop-up shop. If you would like to be a vendor, I will tag who you need to reach out to. So it is June 14th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Please make sure y'all pull up and support all of the vendors. As a reminder, we will not be live for the next 2 weeks, y'all. The last show of the season is on June 29th with our sister
I'm
circle.
excited.
Can't wait to have them. And we thank y'all for tuning in, and we
Thank
will see y'all
y'all.
next time.
Bye.